This morning, Minister Sylvan Richards provided the House of Assembly with a ministerial statement regarding the National Infrastructure Plan. Now, the public should note that for the last week and a half, 2 weeks, in the lead up to the summit, and actually for the last few months, the One Bermuda Alliance have never acknowledged the existence of the process, let alone the development of a plan. And so when they went to the KPMG summit a few days ago, I asked the question again, and I also made the claim that they are wasting money. And the reason why they're wasting money is that they are actually continuing a process that started under the Progressive Labour Party. When I was the minister, I ended up from attending the January seminar/summit, developing a RFP to put out to tender so we can actually have an infrastructure strategy document. Now you have to understand, KPMG holds these seminars and summits for the purpose of gaining business in the end of it. The bid was put out, KPMG put in a bid, but PricewaterhouseCoopers won the bid. Now, I said in my initial statement that it was approximately $500,000 that was paid for this report. The reason why it's at approximately $500,000 is because that money had to be reallocated from my budget at the time. The $500,000 was earmarked for the shoreside facility to develop an offshore fishery in Bermuda. We didn't have no money for a national infrastructure plan. So I took the money from the offshore fishing facility and reallocated it towards the RFP for the National Infrastructure Plan. It was $500,000. Now, it's been revealed today that the plan actually cost a total of approximately $400,000. But in the very erroneous and irresponsible ministerial statement provided by Minister Richards, a statement that eventually the Speaker had to scold him on, because I had to ask from the get-go who wrote this ministerial statement. Now, people thought it was a trivial question, but normal process is that your permanent secretaries or a director of a department responsible for that particular issue will write the ministerial statement. That ensures that it's factually correct. It also ensures, based on this technical officer's training, that you will not have the statement put out in a political manner. And so you had statements or words to the effect in Minister Richards' statement of pie in the sky and the OBA deals with real plans. No permanent secretary is supposed to politicize a ministerial statement. And so I asked, who wrote your statement? And he thought about it and paused and came with a response, he wrote it. Well, I don't believe him. One of his OBA supporters or members wrote the statement, hence the tone and nature of the statement itself, which again did not come across well with the Speaker of the House. In his statement, and I hope that Bird News is able to let the public hear the entire discourse, because I've already noticed some of the OBA bloggers trying to spin the truth. And even the Royal Gazette, who were present in the chamber, who was able to witness the entire exchange. I looked in the newspaper today online, and it's reported as if Minister Richards really took me as the opposition leader to task. In fact, the complete opposite happened. The complete opposite. And so he made claims that he did some fact-checking, and in September 2011, I attended the KPMG summit. Bernice, I became a minister in November the 1st, 2011. So again, that's an inaccurate statement, and it's supposed to be a ministerial statement. Then he said that there was no summit held in 2012. Well, it wasn't. They call it a seminar. It was held in the same hotel in Miami, conducted by the same people. And I attended that with Minister Weeks in January 18th, 19th. Then Minister Richards stands up and says, actually, you was not in Miami, you were in Bahamas at an energy conference. Well, I was in Bahamas the week after that to deal with the Platts Energy Conference to look to see how we could introduce natural gas into Bermuda to reduce the cost of energy in this country. Again, everything he said was factually incorrect. Then, which is amazing, he admits that the OBA received the PricewaterhouseCoopers Phase 1 report on December the 22nd, 2012, after claiming that they had never received anything. And then he says that Cabinet had decided that they're not going to pursue Phase 2. I asked him, when did you decide? He couldn't give us a reason or give us a time. I asked him, when are you going to allow Phase 1 to be made public? He said he's not going to make it public. Now, the whole idea of the infrastructure strategy is not to make it a political issue outside of calling out the deception and the lies of the One Bermuda Alliance. The fact of the matter is that we called for it to be implemented, knowing that they had to have it in hand, because the construction industry represents the highest level of unemployment in this country today. The infrastructure strategy allows you to rationally assign capital projects in an order based on economic rationale, not the whims of we politicians, okay? And that would allow the construction industry to have a stimulus to get a lot of Bermudians who are unemployed back to work. That's the only reason why we're bringing it up, you know, because we suggested it in July as a solution in the spirit of collaboration to allow the OBA to put some steps into place so we can strengthen the country. So they would not even acknowledge that in July, and then all of a sudden, after they go on a trip to South Beach, to Miami, they want to stand up today in Parliament and act like, well, the plan was received, but we decided we're not going to go forward with Phase 2. And then you give some rationale that they would like for their ideas to be presented going forward. Hello. The reason why the RFP was tendered out to professional, reputable firms like a KPMG and a PricewaterhouseCoopers is so we as politicians don't add what we consider to be our desires for the infrastructure strategy. Once they won the bid, once we paid the money, we were hands off. And that's the way it's supposed to be. No political interference. Because if something is a document that can be utilized by successive governments over a 10 to 20-year period. They have made it political. They have twisted it up. The ministers come up with quite possibly the worst ministerial statement the House has ever had to listen to. In my time, I have never heard such foolishness in my life. Every single thing that he said in that statement was false. He cannot show any proof to what he said of when they decided not to go forward with Phase 2. No proof whatsoever. But it seems like they can see or say and get away with anything in this country. And so when we are a loyal opposition, we're pointing out their shortcomings and their faults. People then descend and start saying, well, you're just nitpicking and you're just, you're hurling them back. That's not the truth. They are being deceptive. They're not being honest with the people. And so we're doing our job and pointing it out. And so I'm asking the people of this country, don't get weary. Don't get caught up in all this foolishness. Okay, we knew full well from the get-go that the strategy existed. Now all of a sudden you get up in Parliament and admit that it existed after an entire week denying its existence? Why don't you make it public? What you hiding from? And they got the nerve, Trevor Munnis, the ministers got the nerve to give a report on the last summit. And he says that the Premier stated that he's looking to work with accountability, transparency, and a spirit of collaboration. That's what the Premier said in Miami. Is this accountability, transparency, and a spirit of collaboration? I think not. So I'm getting a little tired of the low standards that we're bringing to the House through the One Bermuda Alliance. It seems like they could get away, or they think they could get away with everything. And in the end, it will come to the detriment of every single person in this country.